Hey, Shalom, Akim, all praise, honor, and glory is to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shah, Wahar, Rakha, Kodash, which in the ancient Hebrew tongue would be the correct names of the Heavenly Father, His beloved Son, and the Holy Spirit. Also want to give double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom, much due honors and respect to the sincere brethren out there that's also laboring in His work. So yeah, this lesson right here is going to be based upon a video I was watching from the Apostle Gabar, where he was pretty much touching on the fact that this gospel was never meant for the masses of you people out there. This word was only meant for the elect of the nation of Israel to understand, you know. Once they hear this word, they would receive it and believe on this word and ultimately be sealed for salvation. And that's true, you know. And you really can't appreciate that idea or that approach unless you in the trenches, you know, unless you have that hands-on experience where you teach and you dialogue back and forth with different people concerning the scriptures. And you can see that obvious contrast between those who believe and the non-believers out there. For an example, you know, where we set up camp at, you know, we had this one guy who would come out, you know, and he was a scoffer, all right, a Jake, some big, overgrown, overweight Negro, you know. But his whole rallying cry was, there's not a lot of people listening to you guys, you know. So why are you here? Why are you out here? And we would go back and forth with this guy, but the last time we encountered him, you know, we put a real sincere curse on him, man. And we haven't seen him since. And this guy, he was a permanent fixture, you know, out at the camp in that area. And through the Spirit, you know, we believe that Yahweh Shema Shah brought judgment on that guy, man. But the point is, his whole perception was, you know, we couldn't be men of the Lord because nobody is stopping and listening to us. And that's shared amongst the majority and the masses of you people out there. You believe views and numbers, you know, having some damn mega church, a large congregation, validates you being a man of the Lord, man. All right? And like the Apostle Kabar, you know, was touching on, look, just because we don't win that proverbial popularity contest, that doesn't mean we're not men of the Lord. In fact, it's the very opposite, man. All right? The prophets wasn't popular amongst the masses of the people. You know, only the believers who was predestined, I might add, they the only ones who received and embraced the men of the Lord, man. And furthermore, there's a small sanctuary who Yahweh Shema Shah is dealing with, man. Period. All right? The Lord is not dealing with the masses. And that's not some new idea. When you go back into the flood, out of the whole known world at that time, the Lord only saved 8 souls. You see? So this is a point that has to be established, man. You know, on the one extreme, all you people out there who come across and encounter this gospel, you know, your perception of us only having a small number. And on the other hand, you brothers that actually teach this word, you got to understand that as well, especially the brothers who just coming into this thing, or you find yourself trying to teach, whether your friends, your co-workers, your family, or whatever, which I don't advise that, you know. The best thing to do is just join a camp or go out on the streets, you know. But what you're going to find out is that there's more than not going to be people who reject you, man, you know. And once that happens, you can't become discouraged or deflated, because that's how this thing was set up. Matter of fact, let me start off with 2nd Ezra, the 8th chapter, in the 51st verse. It says, but understand thou for thyself. Yeah, and that's the first step when you come into this thing. You understand for yourself, man. You know? You don't get into this thing to understand for anyone else. All right? the scripture speaks about how every man should be persuaded in his own mind. So when you come into this thing, you understand for yourself, all right? So it says, but understand thou for thyself and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. See? And that's the next step. Once you learn this knowledge, then you begin to teach. Your whole approach should be gathering those who are like-minded, you know? And that's the way we approach this thing, man. A lot of you people, you believe that we lose sleep because you don't follow us, man. The hell with you, man. We understand fully the math of this ministry, man. The mathematics of this thing. And that's literal, all right? The scriptures deal with numerology. When you read Zechariah, the 13th chapter, it clearly outlines that 2/3 of the nation of Israel is going to be cut off and die, man. So we understand that perfectly, man. We understand if two people, or should I say if 3 people come up to the camp, we know by the numbers, 2 of them is going to not believe, man. All right? Or 10 people come up to the camp. We ain't expecting all 10 people to believe. You see? Matter of fact, stand in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, starting at the 13th verse, it says, and therefore be thou not curious how the ungodly shall be punished and when, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved. Yep, that's the mentality, man. So when we teach this word, we not worried about the ungodly and how they're going to be punished, because the Lord actually give us, when you read, I think that's Jeremiah the 15th chapter, it tell you how the Lord have designated certain punishments to certain people. You know, you're going to die rather from the beast of the field. You might die from the famine or the sword, you know, or ultimately from those nuclear missiles, man. So we know you're going to die a horrible death one way or the other. So the Lord said, be not curious how the ungodly shall be punished and when, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved. And that's the task. When we teach this word, we teach this word with the elect in mind. When I do these videos, just like the Apostle Gabar video, he mentioned that his voice is only to the elect. And I totally agree with that. You know? I second that emotion, man. When I do these videos, I have the elect in mind. You know, and sometimes you have brothers, or even, you know, sometimes you might have a sincere sister that asks a question. And a lot of times you will do a video on it, a lot of times you can't get around to it, but, you know, you keep them in mind. I know I got one person that asked me about Revelation in the 7 churches. And I ain't forgot about you out there if you come across this video. You know, the spirit is like the wind. Sometimes we'll intend to do a video, then something else will happen. An article will come up, or, you know, the climate will change. So you keep up with things. But I ain't forgot, you know who you are. You asked me about the revelation, in the book of Revelation, where it's dealing with the 7 churches. But that's just the mentality of the sincere men who understand what this thing about, man. We ain't concerned with you unbelievers out there, man. We only concerned with feeding the Lord's elect, all right? So it says, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved, whose the world is, and for whom the world is created. All right? So yeah, we are not to be concerned with how the ungodly is going to be punished. And again, when you read Zechariah the 13th chapter, it tells you that 2/3 of our people are going to die. So with that, with knowing that, you know, we don't lose sleep at night because you people don't believe. First and foremost, you're going to be put to death, man. See? You don't put stock into something that's not lucrative, you know? You're not going to invest your money in a stock that's not trending upward. So why would we invest our time into the 2/3, man? We know they're going to be put to death, see? Then answered I and said, I have said before, and now do speak, and will speak it also hereafter, that there be many more of them which perish than of them which shall be saved. See? And we understand that idea. So we, by knowing that when we teach this word, we understand that only a few is going to believe so that they might be sealed for salvation. Because the scriptures clearly telling you that there's going to be more of them who perish, man. Verse 16, like as a wave is greater than a drop. Yeah, and if you consider a wave, you had these white boys, they go surfing. You had a big wave. Well, the Lord is comparing those who are delivered to those who are going to be destroyed by a wave and a drop of water, man. So that's a huge difference, all right? So technically, this word was only meant for a small number because this word is the bridge to salvation, man. All right? It tells you that in the book of James to receive this word with meekness, the engrafted word with meekness, which is able to save your souls. All right? It also tells you that in St. John the 15th chapter that you have now been cleansed by the word. So if you're going to be delivered in the word, the understanding of this word is going to be the catalyst of that, then when you do the numbers, that means this word is only for a few. Because the majority and the masses of the people are going to be destroyed out there. All right? Matthew 7 and 14. Because straight, matter of fact, starting at the 13th verse, it says, enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. See? And many there be which go in thereat. See? So the way to destruction is in numbers. So you see these mega churches, like these different pastors and preachers, they are measured up by their congregation, their numbers, man. So if you got somebody who have all these different followers and all these different viewers and, have this large congregation, it's a good chance that they're going to be destroyed, man. Scriptures also speak about falling out a multitude to do evil, all right? Verse 14, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few, and few that be that find it, right? So we understand that going in. Before we upload a video, we understand that. Before we go out on the highways and byways, we understand that it's going to be few who's going to find this word, man. And really, you can throw yourself in there. Like me, for an example. I knew guys who heard the same truth that I heard, man, but they never grasped it. I got homeboys. We used to watch the Apostles. There's only one guy who's still with me, man. Brother that's still in the camp. All right, you consider your family. You consider all your friends, all the people you encounter. Really, all the billions and trillions of Israelites, and you, the only one who know this word, man. So that proves right there that this gospel wasn't meant for everybody. Why? Because this gospel is the bridge to salvation. And we read in the scriptures where it's already predestined that the masses of the people are going to be destroyed. All right? That's why those who delivered is known as the remnant, Matter of fact, let me see real quick. Make sure I believe it's... No, that's not it. What is that? No, I'm not going to waste too much time trying to find it. I believe it's, let me try this. Yep. This is Isaiah 11 and 16. It says, and there shall be an highway for the remnant, see, of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt. Yeah, and that key word there is remnant. All right, and that highway is symbolic to that narrow, that straight gate, you know. And on that highway or that straight gate, only a remnant can actually fit, you know. So yeah, I just wanted to go into that. Lord willing, it was edifying. Till the next time I say shalom.